In this video, we have the Galaxy A14 versus the Galaxy A12. Alright everyone, so I've had a ton of people actually ask me to compare these phones because I feel like a lot of people are going to be upgrading from the A12, of course, to the new Galaxy A14, and this may be a smart move. So starting off, both of these phones were pretty much about 2 years apart. So the Galaxy A12 was released in 2020, but at the end of 2020, so December 21st, almost January, and the Galaxy A14 5G was released 2023 January 12th. So they're about 2 years apart right now. The A12 is about 2 years old. Now, getting into the weight of both these devices, they're going to be about the same. So the Galaxy A12 is actually going to be a little bit heavier at 205 grams compared to 202 grams we have in the A14. So pretty much the same. Both these devices are going to have a plastic back. As you guys can see right here, the A14 is obviously going to have a newer design. As you guys can see, we actually kind of still have a bit of grooves on the A12 that we kind of see on the A14, but it is different. As you guys can see, both the camera setups right here are extremely different. I believe the A14 looks to be like a more of a sleek phone, and obviously this is subjective. You could probably think the opposite if you like this design a lot. Obviously, A14 5G has a newer design. I like the flat back on this. This kind of still has that rounded back that peers off to the sides, rounded and stuff, but this is flat. So it does actually mimic the S22 series and the S23 series. So the A14 looks much newer. This is kind of an older design, as you guys know already. But as far as feeling better, I feel like the A14 feels better. It is a thicker phone. That's one thing that I like about the A12 is it's not that thick of a phone. Now, getting into the displays on these devices, for the Galaxy A14 5G, obviously we have the Full HD display, 90 Hz refresh rate. It's going to be 6.6 inches, and we are going to have a 400 ppi. Now, going over to the Galaxy A12, we have a 6.5 inch display, a 720p display, and a 270 ppi. So we have the same pixels per inch on the Galaxy A12 compared to the Galaxy A13, and I'm sure you guys will be able to notice the Galaxy A14 is a much better looking display than the A12. So obviously A14 wins in the screen aspect. Now, going over the platform of these devices, as far as the operating system, we have out of the box Android 13 on the Galaxy A14 5G, and we have One UI Core 5 on this compared to the A12, which was set on Android 10 when it came out, but we are actually sitting at Android 12 right now, so that's really impressive. I don't believe we're going to get any more updates on the Galaxy A12, so that's probably where it's going to stop. We had 2 years of OS updates, and we're probably going to have a couple more years of those security updates as well on this device. So obviously A13 right here, we have a year or more than the A12, and we're actually going to go up to Android 15 is what it seems right now, plus 4 years of security patches on the A14 5G. So obviously this is going to win for the operating system, the A14. Getting into the processors, we have the Dimensity 700 processor in here compared to the Helio P35. So the Dimensity 700 is actually a better performing processor than the Helio P35. This device using Android 13 as well, Core UI 5, is much more optimized. It works much better. It's much snappier than the Galaxy A12, and I'm sure you guys already know that. Now, speaking of the internals, both US versions, I believe, only had one version. I know the A12 had a bunch of different versions, unlocked versions, where you can up the RAM and up the storage and everything. But as far as the base models of these devices, the Galaxy A14 5G is set to have 64 gigabytes of internal storage and 4 gigabytes of RAM with a dedicated micro SD card slot. On the other hand, the Galaxy A12 has a set base RAM of 2 gigabytes of RAM and 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Some people have the 3 gigabyte version, some even have like the 4 gigabyte version, and I think they even made a 6. But the base RAM is obviously doubled on here, and the base storage is doubled on the A14, so it beats the A12 in RAM and in storage. Still really cool that both of these have a dedicated SD card slot, and I think the Galaxy A12 still has a pretty nice display, to be quite honest. I really like it still. Going over to the cameras on these devices, of course, we have a quad camera on the Galaxy A12 and a triple camera setup on the Galaxy A14. Now for the A14, we have a 50 megapixel main shooter, which is going to double as a wide camera, a 2 megapixel macro camera, and a 2 megapixel depth camera. On our A12, of course, 4 cameras. First one is going to be a 48 megapixel wide. We have a 5 megapixel ultra wide. We have a 2 megapixel macro and a 2 megapixel depth. Now as far as the camera quality, the Galaxy A14 5G is going to be much more qualified in the software area and in the hardware area. So we're going to have a better shooting quality on the A14 5G, and both are going to be able to record in 1080p at 30 frames per second. The quality, however, is just going to be better on the A14. As far as the front-facing cameras, we have a 13 megapixel front-facing camera on the A14 5G that doubles as a wide-angle camera, and on the Galaxy A12 we have an 8 megapixel camera, and that doesn't actually double as a wide camera, so no wide camera for the A12. Both can shoot front-facing cameras at 1080p 30 frames per second, and actually both have USB Type-C, and both have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, as well as both have mono speakers. So both these devices don't have a stereo speaker. One of the things I kind of didn't like about the A14 is I thought it would at least get a stereo speaker. I'm hoping Samsung does that on their next entry-level device for the A15. That would be beautiful to see, but no stereo speakers on both these devices. The other weird thing that they're tied in is the battery. So both these devices have a 5000 milliamp battery, a really big battery right here, and both have charging rates of 15 watts for wired charging. So that's pretty cool. Both have 5000, both have 15 watts. The Galaxy A12 is still beating out obviously the Moto G Play 2023 that has a 10 watt charging rate in there, and the Galaxy A12 actually came with a charger, and the A14 5G did not come with a charger, so that's what the A12 has over it. Now the last thing I would like to do for you guys, since we went over everything, I want to show you the difference in the Geekbench 5 test. Now this isn't like a defining factor, but this is going to give you a good look at what these phones can do as far as their processing power, their CPU, their OS, and all that other stuff, their clusters inside these devices. So we're going to see what scores these devices can get, and we have the A12 right here obviously, and the A14 5G. I'm sure you guys are really excited to see the difference between both these devices. I am too, so I'll show you that right now. Alright, so the A12 just finished up, as you guys can see, and we see a big difference between the A14 5G and the A12. So for a single core score, of course, the winner is the Galaxy A14 5G with a single core score of 529 compared to 165. As far as a multi-core score goes, we have a 1708 score compared to the A12 with a 1004 score. So we have a really big difference in terms of the Geekbench 5 score between the new Galaxy A14 and the Galaxy A12. So just wanted to show you guys that there is a big difference as far as performance and everything. The A14 is going to perform much better, and of course you can take all of those other aspects into account, and the winner is the Galaxy A14 5G. Now if you have the Galaxy A12 and you guys have been asking me, should I upgrade to the A14? Is it time for an upgrade? If you want to keep your A12, you absolutely can. I think that it's still a decent phone, but if you find it glitching and getting you annoyed and you are wondering if you should get an upgrade, I think the Galaxy A14 5G is an appropriate upgrade. I think it is a good upgrade from the A12. So in my opinion, yes, you should upgrade if you want a new phone. If it's glitching for you, I would say go for the A14 5G. There is a really big difference between this and the A12. But yeah guys, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. This has been Safon from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.